Let's give the people of Scotland a choice and have an early Scottish election. But if, as I suspect, that he will knock back that challenge and he won't be brave enough to face the public, that means we still have more than half of this Scottish Parliament term to run. That's 3 years that cannot be allowed to be 3 lost years for the people of Scotland. I don't want a child in their first year at school here in Pollok to have to wait until they are 8 before we start to tackle the attainment gap. I don't want it to become the norm that in 2026 people think it's acceptable to wait more than 12 months for surgery. I don't want us to be less than 20 years away from net zero without making any progress towards that goal. So let me remind the SNP what really matters to people. Tackling the cost of living crisis and bringing down energy bills, jump-starting a green jobs revolution which is made in Scotland, growing the economy, investing in good jobs and opportunities for the future, saving our NHS and care services so the public don't have to wait months for the treatment they so desperately need, and investing to rebuild our damaged public services and making communities like this one here in Pollok even stronger. That is what matters. Now, once upon a time, the SNP claimed to stand up for Scotland. It can't do that anymore. It has failed Scotland and it has run out of ideas for the future. Only Scottish Labour has a positive vision for our country, built on the hopes and aspirations of its people. And as we build up to the forthcoming elections, we are setting out that alternative. And we will ask the people of Scotland to give us the opportunity to deliver the change our country needs. Change which tackles the cost of living crisis, a proper windfall tax to help keep bills down, affordable public transport, housing support, tackling problem debt, scrapping school meal arrears, and help for households, including a £100 water bill rebate and top-ups to the welfare fund. Our energy plan across the UK will create a clean power system by 2030 and insulate 1.3 million homes to save the average household £1,400 off their bills, not just this year, but every year. Change which delivers a green jobs revolution for Scotland. Labour's energy revolution will be made in Scotland, doubling the number of clean energy jobs. Our Green Prosperity Plan will deliver the resources and support to low-carbon sectors in Scotland, helping to create 50,000 direct and indirect jobs in a decade in the clean power sector alone. A flip-flopping First Minister in charge of a fictitious party that has failed the people of Scotland. The truth is that Hamza Yousaf doesn't know what his own priority is because he's forgotten what the priorities of the people of Scotland are. And that's what happens. And that's what happens when one party is in power for so long and they start to talk to themselves about themselves. So Scotland deserves better. We deserve better than a divided and deceitful SNP. We deserve better than the corrupt and cruel Conservatives. Scottish Labour offers that alternative. Only Labour can boot the Tories out of number 10. Only Labour can offer unity and the ideas while the SNP loses its way. Only Labour can tackle the cost of living crisis and save our NHS. Only Labour believes our country's best days lie ahead of us. It's time for change. Scottish Labour is ready to deliver that change. Let's go out and win that for the people of Scotland. Thank you. One in 3 children live in poverty in this constituency, and we have at this twin crisis time, when we have the NHS crisis and the cost of living crisis, we have 2 failing governments. We've got a cruel and out of touch Conservative government, and we've got an arrogant, out of touch SNP that is talking to themselves about themselves. And at this moment when we have those twin crises, this country needs true leadership, it needs hope for the future, it needs new ideas, a new vision. That can't be presented by the SNP or the Tories. Labour is ready to step into that frame and demonstrate how we can change this country and deliver the change that Scotland needs.
You mentioned 2 governments there. How can Labour do that change?
Well, look, first of all, we've set out detailed plans around how we grow our economy and make Scotland the heart of the fastest growing economy in the G7. We set out ambitious plans around how we realise our green revolution potential so we can have clean energy by 2030 and create tens of thousands of jobs here in Scotland at the same time. We set out detailed plans about how we can reform and renew our NHS. That's partly a recovery plan that can be implemented right now, but also a plan in the longer term on how we rebuild and restore our NHS. We've got ambitious plans on how we can make the dream of home ownership a reality for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people across this country. These are big, bold ideas that can demonstrate how we change the country. Because what I'm not willing to do is to wait for people to think that the SNP and the Tories deserve to lose, like I believe they deserve to lose. What I'm determined to do is demonstrate why Labour deserves to win and set out that positive alternative that we can deliver change for people across this country. One, yes, with a UK Labour government, but also a Labour government here in Scotland.
And Keir Starmer said that there needs to be a strong showing of support in this next general election in Scotland for Labour. Do you think you can maybe win 20 odd seats, or do you think that's an unachievable goal?
Look, I'm not going to put a number on it, but we've come a long way. 2 years ago we were 32 points behind in the polls. A year ago we were 17 points behind the polls. Recent polls have shown us 5 points behind in the polls of the SNP. But I don't aspire for second place, I aspire for first place. And I genuinely believe that we can elect a UK Labour government, and I genuinely believe that Scotland's going to deliver the seats to get us over the line and to establish that majority Labour government across the UK. For 12 years, people in Scotland haven't believed a UK Labour government was possible. And when they don't believe that is possible, you have then the vote of protest. Who can oppose the Tories rather than who can replace the Tories? I think people can now see that change is possible, change is needed, and that we can get rid of this rotten UK Tory government, but you can only do that if you elect a Labour government and elect Labour MPs here in Scotland. But it's not just one failing government we have in this country. I think it's important to stress this. We have two failing governments in this country. We have a morally bankrupt Conservative Party. You have an SNP trying not to go bankrupt, but both of them bankrupt when it comes to the ideas and the vision this country needs. Labour's ready to step up to the challenge, deliver the change it needs, and set out a positive vision for our country.
My final point on that, Keir Starmer has made these comments. Do you think if you can't deliver more seats or seats that you hope to deliver, is that a harder job for yourself as the Labour leader up here in Scotland?
Well, look, I'm not going to do what the SNP do and focus on what I can't do. I'm going to focus on what we can do. And what we can do is demonstrate that change is possible. What we can do is help deliver the seats here in Scotland to change our government across the UK. And what we can do is transform the lives of people right across this country with a green prosperity plan, with a growing economy, with a reformed NHS, and tackling the cost of living crisis. That's what I'm focused on doing. Let the SNP focus on what they can't do. Let the Conservatives focus on what they can't do. I'm determined to build the change this country needs.
It's been a difficult few weeks for the SNP, to say the least, but how do you feel at the moment? Do you think that in the past, especially the past day or so, do you think that Nicola Sturgeon should be suspended from the party and Peter Murrow at the time when this investigation is ongoing?
That's a matter for Nicola Sturgeon, a matter for the SNP. And if they are going to have any by-elections, if there are people going to be resignations, I would say the whole lot of them should resign. Let's have a full election across this country and let people choose a stable government that's focused on their priorities rather than individual seats and individual personalities. This is a political party that has lost its way. It's mired in scandal, mired in division, talking to itself, about itself, out of touch, arrogant, and at this time when this country needs true leadership and it needs hope for the future, they are not stepping up to the plate. Labour is ready to do that with an ambitious plan to change our country, a plan not just to get rid of two rotten governments, but a plan to deliver for this country so we can lift children out of poverty, we can invest in our NHS, we can grow our economy and create tens of thousands of jobs in the process. That's a positive vision for our country that Labour is determined to deliver.
And obviously you didn't say there whether Nicola should be suspended at the moment, but your deputy, Jackie Bailey, she was really advocating for them to be suspended at the moment. Would you back that call? Your deputy saying it, what would you do?
Well, look, if they're going to be consistent, and I think Joanna Cherry's made this point, not just Jackie Bailey. Of course, people would expect Jackie Bailey to say something negative about the SNP, but Joanna Cherry, who is a SNP MP, has said that she believes that if they're being consistent with the rules, then those individuals, Peter Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon, should be suspended. So perhaps Hamza Yousaf should listen to members of his own political party. What I'm going to focus on is what the positive alternative for our country is. The old saying that you shouldn't
interrupt your opponents when they're having a bad time. I disagree with that. One, because we've got huge challenges in our country, but secondly, what does it actually mean in practice? We have 3 years of this Parliament to run. Are we really going to have 3 years of SNP chaos, SNP division, a lack of focus on the priorities that matter to people, or are we actually going to have a government that's on the side of people across this country? I am determined to deliver a government that's on the side of people in this country because it matters. It matters to the child that's in poverty in this constituency. It matters to the mum that's skipping a meal in order to put food on the table. It matters to the dad that's struggling to deliver for his household. It matters to people right across this country that they have 2 governments on their side. We have 2 failing governments, a morally bankrupt Conservative Party, an SNP that's going bankrupt, and a bankruptcy of ideas and a vision. Labour is ready to step up and deliver the change this country needs.
And finally, on that point, if Hamza Yusuf does not suspend Peter Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon from the party at the moment while this investigation is ongoing, what do you think that's the best?
Well, we already know that he's incompetent. We already know that he's not up to the job. We already know he's out of his depth. We already know that every portfolio he has held, he has performed badly in. We already know that he's not Nicola Sturgeon. And that used to be, for many people, they would say Nicola Sturgeon was a badge of what to aspire to. I'm not sure that's anything to aspire to now. Even then, he's not Nicola Sturgeon. This is a man that's not up to the job. And what we have to present, though, and this is where the challenge comes from the Labour Party, is I'm not one of those politicians that believes you just wait for the wheels to fall off the opponent's bus and assume that voters will come in their flocks to us. I don't believe that. I think we've got to, with humility, reach out, build support, earn people's trust, demonstrate what that change looks like, and deserve to win, not just wait for the public to believe our opponents deserve to lose. And on that part, we are relentlessly focused on delivering on the people's priorities.